What's up, Connection? Welcome inside the Wrestling War Zone, a Monday Night Wars podcast retrospective series. I am JT, and joining me as ever is my partner on the show, Chad. And of course, this podcast is simulcast across a few places. You all right? You look like you saw a ghost came in the house. I think you're on mute or something. Yeah, you're muted. There was like a dramatic, like on someone like in a stage production. If someone comes on stage, you don't. It was like the ghost of Christmas past entered the room. You're already taken aback. This is our simulcast on multiple platforms. Video on our YouTube channel, North South Connection. Also on our absolutely free Patreon. You can subscribe. You get some bonus content. We'll talk about what Chadley dropped today in a moment. And also you can watch live as part of, if you're a patron, you get the link to watch live as we record here. And you can weigh in with comments and we will read them on air. And also, of course, on audio on all podcast applications, except for those losers at Spotify. You can follow us under North-South Connection as we travail through the history of the Monday Night Wars. And we are here in July of '97, Chad. So what did you see that scared you?
Well, you run my bit. I was going to play.
I can't hear anything.
Oh. I was going to do the Nitro Girls theme. And
I thought maybe the way you were doing your head.
Yeah, you run my bit. I had the chair set up and everything.
Oh, you were going to do the whole dance?
Yeah. A little special for the video cast. But yeah.
Is that for the as we crown the Bears Super Bowl champions? One drive into
yeah, one drive.
All the hardcore.
But if it's winning the Super Bowl in one drive on the first game, or drafting a quarterback on draft night, the Jets and the Bears, they're fighting it out every year because they win it. Draft night's always a great night for the Jets, and opening day is always a great time for the Bears as well.
So. I will say they do tie together this year because Justin Fields, who was drafted by the Bears, was the highest rated quarterback of Week 1 on behalf of the Jets. So there you go.
Always
flying high.
Tell you who's not a highest rated quarterback is I had a middle school football game I went to tonight. I don't know if I went on a rant last year about this.
Is Ryan Gray the offensive coordinator of that team?
Oh, your kids' sports, they've actually gotten a lot better in the last couple of years, as you see more. But these middle school football games are just brutal. Like the team they were playing tonight, they were down 14 in the fourth quarter. They didn't pass once, so forget that. Like, didn't even attempt it.
Celebrating Bagley's birthday by playing like it's the 50s.
They're 8-minute quarters. And the team Kane was playing, they had the ball, the first, no kickoffs, of course. So they just started on the 30-yard line. And 8-minute quarters, they marched all the way down the field and scored 17 runs in a row, took up 13 minutes of clock.
Jesus.
So it was like 3 minutes left in the first half before Caden's team even got the ball. They fumbled on the second play. Then they ran out the clock that half, didn't score. So Caden's team literally had 2 plays the whole half. They had the ball started the second half, and the dude ran 70 yards and tied it up in like 16 seconds. First play from scrimmage. They ended up winning, but it was definitely a slog. This one, no. They were down 20-8. In the fourth quarter, and it's like 4th and 12 or whatever from their old 30, and they go for it. They just ran right up the middle. It's like, come on. It's like, I don't know. It seems like they practice a lot. I don't know. It just seems like, they're practicing a lot. I know Caden's practicing 3 days a week, 4 days a week.
Yeah, he's doing double sessions. He can throw the ball once or twice.
Are they using any of this playbook? Because it did look like let's round up your friends.
Ish says it's like Nebraska in the 90s, their offense they're running.
It definitely looked like the Notre Dame box. You knew they were not going to pass. Like, it was apparent, very apparent after that first drive, they were not going to pass. So they ended up they would flank some guy out, but we were basically packing the box with 10 plus. Like, somebody would be off the receiver, but we're pretty much 11 in the box. So.
Well, hopefully, the shows we covered tonight are a little bit more modern feeling than back out of the 40s.
This is bad. Bad.
Well, what's not bad is Bash at the Beach we covered on our last episode.
Yes.
And tonight we're going to cover the fallout from that on Nitro, and then we'll head over to Raw. We're a couple weeks out from SummerSlam. So it is the July 14th, 1997 Nitro. Chad from Orlando, Florida, in the O-Arena. Why don't you tell us what we got cooking?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this show today, and I just started thinking about Orlando just as a general wrestling town, and kind of went through a rabbit hole. So I tried something different. I don't know. And I do like that the Patreon, as we talked about, like any content we want to get out, it's free to sign up, and it allows us to like drop that. So this was something I did where I basically went through starting in January 87, because that's right around when Crockett buys Championship Wrestling from Florida. And I tried to chronicle what the attendance and the cards were like in Orlando, because Orlando is a town, as I mentioned, like it's more of a kind of destination town, but it's very segmented. Like, you know, like in Vegas, like when WCW's in Vegas, they're right there at the MGM Grand. So they're right on the strip, right in the heart of it. I mentioned, like, you know, I go down to Florida at least a couple times a year. I never go to downtown Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
You can always circumvent it. If you fly in, you don't have to go through downtown. So it's a very segmented feeling thing. And on the wrestling side, it was like that too, where we know that WCW taped so many matches at both MGM Studios and then at Universal Studios. And then we know TNA basically has held most of their existence in Orlando, in permanent residency down there. So it's kind of a weird town, I think, where it's a major town. It's had a lot of wrestling, but it's also like, if you're a hardcore fan that lived in Orlando starting in 1985, like, how much of that were you going to? Like, were you going to those MGM tapings? Were you going to those Impact tapings? It was interesting, and you could see like the ebbs and flows. Like, it was fascinating to see that WWF basically ran 3 house shows and then felt good enough to put the Rumble there and sold it out. And then WCW had been doing all those tapings and then decided like Hogan's first match in the company was going to emanate from there. So it's an interesting town, I think, from that standpoint. So it was fun to kind of go through that and see the ebbs and flows. Also, like some shocking drop-offs. 1992 WWF, of course. Like it was a tag match with Flair, Undertaker, Piper, and you know, all the big stars that drew 2,600, just awful. And then WCW went from 12,000 in 1998 for like a Thunder to 2,000 in 2000 for a Thunder. So
that's more probably about WCW than Orlando.
That really shows. No, that I mentioned that. I mentioned that, like,
Yeah.
I thought Orlando was a pretty good barometer for where the wrestling business was, because you saw that with WWF too, from like 2000 to 2002. Like, they had a pretty significant drop off of like 9,000 as well, 9,000 fans. So it was fun to do. May end up doing that. It's just this particular Nitro kind of caught my eye because I like the look of the arena, as we'll talk about, with like the blinking lights. I think it's one of the more distinctive arenas around this time, just with that aesthetic. And just as a town overall, it kind of interests me because it's a town that I think has a lot of wrestling history, but also feels like some weird wrestling history too.
All right, and that is free Patreon. You can see if you're watching a video, the link's been on the screen. If you're listening, it's just patreon.com/The Wrestling Warzone. It's free to sign up. You get some bonus content. Chad's back in the kitchen cooking a bit, so you can check that out. And like I said, you'll get the link when we record live to join us. Ish stands up for the episode, so it was a great episode, Chad.
Thank you, Ish.
All right, why don't we dive in then? What's going on Nitro?
All right, so this is the fallout from Bash at the Beach. They are at the Orlando Arena. We start right with some pyro and a Michael Buffer lead in. And we get the debut of the Nitro Girls. So Buffer says, let's get ready to rumble. Kim leads out all the girls. Her mic does not work, so she was introducing them. But so who did we have here?
I got the full name.
Okay,
yeah.
we had Go
It's
ahead.
well, obviously Kimberly. Then we got
Yeah.
Spice, Shay, AC Jazz, Fire, and Teo. I did not remember Teo at all.
No, because we know like Paisley comes in at some
Whisper.
point. Yeah, the Whisper, of course, and so there's a couple ins and outs, but a lot of the core I would say was here from the beginning, like Spice and Shay and Fire.
I think AC Jazz is around for a bit, isn't she?
Yeah, they stay around pretty much, I think, for the whole thing.
Right.
So they come out. I mean, the crowd is hot for them. I mean, the routine is it's a little rough. I mean, Kimberly, I don't think is exactly the most graceful dancer in the world. She's a little off from the choreography, but I mean, I don't know that this was something. I was trying to remember because I know like this is a weird Nitro that I could pinpoint because I remember I had a birthday party the very next day. And it was at the bowling alley, and everybody like there's a bunch of 11-year-old boys, so we were all talking about the Nitro girls. I was like, "Did you see the Nitro girls dance around?" So this is like a very moment in time for me. But in rewatching it, like I kind of thought it was way too drawn out. I thought this was fine. It was like 3 to 4 minutes. It was different.
Mhm.
Crowd's hot for it right now, so I didn't have a problem with it.
And I think where we end up going with it is like a good balance. I think they end up doing. I think early on we see a lot of this stuff, but then it becomes kind of like during the break, we come back from break and they're wrapping
Yeah.
up. So we see it for like a second, but it's more of like in between for the
Arena.
live crowd to kill some
Yeah.
time. So it doesn't end up eating up a lot of TV time. I think tonight it does, but eventually it doesn't as much.
Right. So Tony, Larry, and Tanae lead us in from the announce booth. They want to talk about Rodman and all the mainstream attention that they're getting from the night before. They show some still pictures of the Sting coming out. I will say that I think like these still frame pictures actually looked more convincing than the live shot we got the from the pay-per-view where it was clear like this guy was super tall, and as we talked about,
especially when he stepped over the top rope and everything.
Yeah,
They
when
weren't
he
really
stepped
trying to
over the
hide
top
it,
rope.
which made
Right.
the announcers look even dumber.
Right. And we'll see. They really retcon that throughout this show. So we can go ahead and talk about that. I think they maybe realized that was a mistake because tonight they really double in down that they know that was not the real Sting.
Right.
Larry talks about here how tall Sting was and that he's wearing a beard, and they end up, him and Tony pretty much finger that it's, Kevin Nash that was in the skies there. So that leads us into our opening matchup. Prince Ikea, they come to Dusty. I'd seen him in a couple months. And he's with That's Wonder Kid, Alex Wright. Great theme. I liked Alex Wright's pre-tape promo here, where he says he's a German beauty, and the guys are just jealous of him. He can have all the women with one finger snap. So there we go. Today talks about IKEA having a sophomore jinx. Larry says it's not a sophomore jinx. He just inexperienced, and even when he had the title, it was a big fluke. So crapping on IKEA.
He came all but saying he sucks. That's the problem.
Yes. I mean, this is literally like 40 seconds of a match. Ikea leapfrogs over Jimmy Jet. I actually thought they had some fire here for the 40 seconds they got to work. Where Wright returns with some European uppercuts and dances. And then we hear the crowd erupt as the Giant comes out to the ringside area. He steps in. Jimmy Jet tries to stop him. He gets choke slammed. I like this. Ikea gets in Giant's face and he choke slams him. So I think Ikea was a good baby face for Giant to choke slam, because I think by this point they do. Like the writing was on the wall with Ikea.
Yeah, nothing.
So you can bury him. I liked Alex Wright begging off and then running away, and then we get a parade of security guards come in. They get choke slam. Crowd's going nuts for all.
They loved it. Yeah.
Giant gets on the microphone, says he's had it up to here with the NWO. He names off Bagwell, Norton, Six Hall, Macho, and Hogan. And then he says, especially that 6'11" goof named Nash.
No
Sting told
Virgil.
him,
No shout out for Virgil though.
oh, poor Vincent. Sting told him a long time ago, how bad do you want it? Well, after last night, he wants it real bad. He says he knows that wasn't Sting and that it was Nash. And basically, he wants Nash now as Doug Dillinger and some more cronies
Donuts Dillinger
get into the ring. And kind of, we learned they go to break. We come back after the break. We learned they escorted the Giant away. So I thought this was a pretty hot start. When I saw IK and Wright hit the ring, I was a little concerned because I was like, boy, we're sort of sleepwalking into this first hour. But I like the hook of the Giant coming out. Super over with the crowd, too. So I enjoyed this for what it was.
Yeah, I get a star half match. I have a star. I don't know if a rating or not, but I thought it was spicy while it was on. It was spicy with Wright. They were kind of getting into it when Giant showed up. But it was well done. Like you said, you don't want to send these guys out there for 6 to 7 minutes to start the show. So this is a good way to do it. Giant's so pissed he comes out immediately, right? Because he's had it from last night. And the crowd, like you said, was super into it. So it all worked real well.
Yeah. Come back from break. Pretty big grudge match of what we've seen develop the last couple of weeks. Chavo Guerrero versus Eddie Guerrero. Some quick lucha mat work to start. They cut a real fast pace here. Back body drop to Eddie. Gets huge air on that. Eddie's on the outside, and Chavo hits a nice looking cross body. Eddie's begs all, says he's sorry, but then punches Chavo. Eddie's, as we talked about, is just a gray heel around this time. Chavo takes none of that, sends Eddie into the guardrail. So I like Chavo showing some fire right back at him. Eddie gains the advantage, yells into the camera, "Hi, Mom," as he punches Chavo. Tony calls that a disgusting act. Chavo fires back with the comeback and hits a Northern Light suplex for 2, and a German suplex also gets a 2 count. Then he makes a mistake and he tries a frog splash. Eddie gets his knees up, hits a disgusting power bomb, and wins with the frog splash. So pretty basic story of this match. They weren't getting a whole lot of time here, 4 minutes, but I thought for the time they got, this was a really good match. I enjoyed it a lot, and I really enjoyed the story of it where Chavo's showing some fire and fighting back, and Eddie's so cocky that allows Chavo to get a few openings, but Eddie's still the more experienced wrestler. So even though they're quote unquote like brothers, they're still kind of that uncle nephew dynamic, and the senior Eddie ends up winning the match when Chavo gets a little over his skis and tries the frog splash that misses. After the match, Eddie gives him another frog splash, and Hector comes out and stands over Chavo yelling at Eddie. Then Eddie shoves Hector and walks away. So I went 3 stars here. Again, 4 minutes, but I thought it was a really good sprint. Really fun match overall.
Yeah, it was a little lower to see at the time. I went 2.25. I mean, it was good. But Larry does try and tie Eddie a little bit to the NWO here. He says he's got the same greasy look that they have going on. So I don't know if he was trying to go to business for himself and just trying to sow some seeds, but it definitely seemed like, and it happens right now during this time, anyone's a heel, they kind of try and tie it to them. Tenay does say no surprise on Eddie's actions, given his past behavior in history, just kind of referencing his time with Art Barr and all that as a heel. Yeah, I thought the match was fun, though. The finish is nasty. That powerbomb was so sick. The frog splashes were as well. And Hector kind of runs off Eddie. So there was more attitude and more piss in it, like the opener had. It was hard hitting and effective and a fun angle. So I'm all for Eddie Breaking Bad, like all day for sure. Like, give it to me. Much needed, no doubt here. So 2.25 for me.
All right. So then we come to Gene. He brings out Kimberly and Diamond Dallas Page. Kimberly's changed to her second outfit for the night. Page says, let's go back in time 6 months ago. He had a match in Minneapolis, went out for some beers after the match. He ran into Curt Hennig, realized they had a lot in common. Went to the same school of hard knocks. Hennig told Dallas how much he respected him and how far he's came in the wrestling business. DDP says, his first choice would have without a doubt been Sting, but Sting has bailed him out so much he didn't want to go there. Second choice would have been Luger and Giant, but they already had, their booking match versus Hogan and Rodman. So then he called Hennig and thought he would be an excellent partner. He thought he's a stand-up guy, but he was wrong. He's not crying and not even mad, because he doesn't get mad. He gets even. No matter how many times he gets knocked down, he will get back up. He's full of surprises. And if you don't believe him, why don't you ask Savage about La Parka? So I thought this was, I had a lot of problems with that tag match. But I thought this actually did some kind of retconning and some sort of trying to justify why Page would have selected Hennig. The fact that he, talking about Sting and that he didn't want to bother him, that's a little bit of a stretch. So that was a little weak, but at least they made an effort of
that he wasn't as dumb enough to just take on Hennig, right? He was like, he had a thought process behind it. All the other guys were tied up, and it seemed like why not, right? It seemed like a good choice, and whatever. He fucked me over, so I'm just gonna get even, right? That's pretty much what he said. That's it. So it's like, it's tight, and it's not. Page is good at this. Like, he's not whiny. He doesn't make excuses. He's just like, yeah, I fucked up. I picked the wrong guy. He screwed me. I'll take him out. I'm like, that's it. So, kind of keeps his like everyman, vibe going.
Agreed. So I like that. Come back from break. We get, I think, what you're kind of talking about before. This is more of like a shorter Nitro Girls number. It's kind of basically like a bumper coming back from the break. Gene is ringside, and he's, of course, Horty for them as they walk away past him. No surprise there. He brings out Harlem Heat. This is the first time we're going to hear from them since they dumped Sister Sherry. Booker T says they're not worried about Vincent or the NWO. He says this isn't 1962. They ain't Lee Harvey Oswald. They're not no patsies. And then Stevie gets asked about them not having any guidance to help lead them in the match. And Stevie says they're turning the match tonight into an old-fashioned ghetto street fight, and they will show these suckers they are no joke. So there we go.
They also call them the sissified outsiders, they call them.
So it's the Outsiders versus Harlem Heat tonight, non-title. Next match, Vicious and Delicious. They're out with Vincent, of course. They're versus the Steiners, and I hate how much I'm liking Buff Bagwell in this run. I had a thought while watching this match that if once I watch all of 1997, I may have to rank Buff as one of the top 100 wrestlers of 1997.
I think it's of all time.
It's not. Even for a year, that's pretty good for Buff. I mean,
I loved Vicious and Delicious at the time, and they've held up so far. Like they were always one of my favorites.
He's just great, and every time he wins like a lockup exchange, here he does with Scott.
He reminds me a lot of like a guy we're gonna see soon. The next year is like heel Mark Merrow. There's a lot of like vibes between the two of them. Like way over the fucking top insanity. Like the best kind of heel, delusional, over the top heel.
Yeah, it is. He's a blast in this little run. I was surprised at how much he got the advantage in the early going here, because we see the Steiners steamroll a lot of time, and Buff got the advantage for a lot of these early exchanges. He ends up giving a huge slap to Scott that like you could hear was stiff. Scott returns the favor, and then ends up getting a press slam, and then they tag in both Rick and Scott Norton. When that happens, we cut to the back, and kind of in I would say a sudden kind of development here. We see Konnan get out of the black limo, and right after him is Six and Hall, and then Nash as well. So looks like we have another member of the NWO suddenly.
I like how they did it. It doesn't always have to be like a big announcement or a big thing. It's just like, I'm with these guys. He's in the fucking limo, and that's it. Like, we've already kind of known probably anyway. So
right. The Outsiders are wearing a shirt here that seemed pretty short-lived. It's their faces on this shirt. I did not remember this one, but I liked it. I don't know if it was like an arena special or it ever made it to the WCW wrestling shop, but I liked it. I wish it had hung around. I like this one.
I liked Nash too, hobbling and saying he had a bad back and we missed you last night, big guy. Like, try to play up that it wasn't him.
Already selling that. Tony lets us know that picture's worth 1,000 words, and he thinks you can infer that Konnan's a member of the NWO from that. Meanwhile, inside the matches broke down. Vincent interferes, which allows Norton to get a DDT. The NWO work him over for a bit. Steiner's come back with their usual big throws, belly-to-belly suplexes, power bombs, and then Muta and Chono run out to cause the DQ. It's a 5-on-2 beatdown as Larry calls them cowards. And then the Steiners end up changing the tide, make a comeback, clean in house. Norton ends up taking a real awkward German suplex, and the NWO bailed in the segment. Should mention also during this match, we learned that it will be the Steiners versus the Outsiders for the tag titles at Road Wild. So that's official. As a match itself, again, I thought it was fine. It did its job. It moved along, and then we got the development with Konnan in the back. So overall, another solid segment. I went 2.5 on the match itself.
I liked Hall too when they get out. He says that they about Nash, and then he also says there's a party down the street at his house tonight. So obviously in Orlando. It was a fun house battle as you'd expect. Some extra intensity with the crowd tonight. I actually thought if this crowd was at the pay-per-view, I think we would have boosted that even more. They were super hot all night. And it added, I think a lot of the wrestlers came out fired up to perform in front of them because there's a lot of intensity and anger in the ring. This on pay-per-view would be really fun with a big finish, like a big Frankensteiner on Buff to end it or something. Would be really cool on pay-per-view. I think it would have been a fun match. And a fine finish. Protect Vicious Delicious, give Steiners the post-match house cleaning, and set them up more for Road Wild. So 2 3/4 for me on this. You know me.
Marty asks, "This is the best Buff match in '97." I think we've already covered matches probably in this run I like a little better, but I think he's accumulating a pretty solid resume. These guys, they're NWO B team. I think becomes sort of a derogatory statement about the filler members of the NWO, but I do think Vicious and Delicious are your perfect B team mid card tier level talent. That if this was the territorial days, they would be your national tag team champions, your U.S. tag team champions, something of that ilk. So, WCW Saturday night, of course, no matches announced. We just learned that Harlem Heat's on the show, Ming's on the show, Hugh Morris 6, and then a statement from James Dillon. So I have no idea what that was, but there you go.
He's going to complain about how long the podcast went, the place to be.
G gives an intro, and they show the Raven promo for Full at Bash at the Beach. Gene says he didn't know what to make of that, and he walks to where Raven and Stevie Richards are sitting at ringside area. And Raven has another soliloquy for us where he says, "Gene, rules are responsibilities. These are the ties that bind us. If we did otherwise, we would not be ourselves. I do what I have to, and I do what I must. The only announcement is there is no announcement." Quote the Raven, evermore. So, of course, Gene's befuddled by all that. Then Richards gets on the mic and says, boss, you said if I signed the contract with WCW, blah, 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 that's all we hear before he gets punked out here. So they're really slowly developing this, but again, I find it entertaining. And I don't know. I'm still liking it. Tony, I like Tony kind of piecing it together as well, too. So.
I'm curious when Richards is gone because I feel like right now he's a real entertaining part of this package. It's been a fun setup to it. And Gene pondering it, of course, calls him a stooge. And then the spit in the face in the show is so good. And then he's abusing him like a child. I'm like, I don't know. Felt a little bit much of old Gene. Tell us about his parenting style, I guess, a little bit. But anyway, it was entertaining.
Get a very dated reference from Larry where he says this is like having a conversation with Timothy Leary, who I had to look up. I was like, okay, I don't even know what that means, but okay. Next, Chris Benoit versus Mike Enos. Benoit gives us a pre-match promo saying to Sullivan that this was a personal problem that he's now taking care of. It's time to get back to being one of the elite, being a horseman. So he's kind of going back to being a, kick-ass wrestler. Benoit attacks with his vest on, showing a lot of aggression here tonight. And they kind of take this time to go through the whole ticket sales here. So we get what will turn out to be the final clash announced for Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Today, says this means Nashville has the Triple Crown.
First ever.
Clash, Nitro, and Starrcade. So I don't know if that's the 3 desired events, but they have it. That's August 21st is the date on that one. Also, Birmingham, Alabama, August 18th was announced. And I'm excited to get to that show because you will see, maybe if we peek our eyes, you will see a young Chad Campbell sitting 4th row at ringside, a little off camera, but best wrestling tickets I've ever gotten for a major show was that Nitro there. Then we learned there was a first day ticket record in Denver for their old sale.
You weren't part of the Triple Crown though. Only
I was not part of the Triple Crown. No, of course not. Match itself, I thought was decent here. Edis takes over. Larry, I thought a good point on commentary talks about how Benoit can't be 100% after the beating he took last night with Sullivan. Some pretty decent offense on top when Edis is on top. These two actually match up pretty well together, and they'll have a couple matches together later on in WCW history that I think are
pay-per-view,
well
right?
done. Yeah, pay-per-view sold out, I believe. Benoit is able to take over the advantage, gets the crossface, and that puts this one away. So I went 2 1/4. Solid match.
Yeah, 2.5 for me. Enos is like kind of underrated. I think he's pretty good. I always enjoy him in there. I enjoyed him with the Beverly Brothers too. Even like he's always been solid. Too bad he's not the Mauler anymore. I remember Larry being obsessed with him when Darren Hall's debut with the Maulers getting his offense in. It was a good little hard hitting match and hard fought win. Some good aggression, and it does feel like a little bit of fresh air with Sullivan being gone and Ben walking out, do other things. He can just come out and have a fun, hard hitting TV match with no constant interference or talk about Woman and Jackie and so I'm just glad for it to be over. And this felt like, okay, we're going to start rebuilding Benoit now in a different way and have him, have a good hard fought win over a quality talent.
So the Nitro girls lead us in again. Bobby's taken over on the booth here. They again mentioned Rodman. And now we get what looks like on the surface is a grudge match here with 2 guys that have been feuding, which is Super Calo versus our good friend La Parka. And there he is. He's entered the Wrestling War Zone here. Is it La Parka? Is it Dallas Page? Is it Justin? Who knows? Parka looks over at Kimberly as he walks out, and she flashes him the diamond cutter sign.
Yeah, that was a cool touch.
I like that. So Tony mentions Rodman being spanked as he shields the replay. Parka dances around after an arm drag. And again, this is kind of like a repeat of the IKEA Wright match where we have a couple, about a minute of action. But Macho hits the ring in a crazed frenzy. He's going after La Parka thinking it's DDP. DDP then comes out from the other side of the arena. He beats up Savage. Then we get Hennig, who runs down. He grabs Page and knocks him out with the international foreign object or whatever he had in his hand, the nuts or whatever. Hennig then leaves. He doesn't really acknowledge Savage. I thought that actually did put a little bit of ambiguity there that I liked. Today brings that up, is he associated with NWO or not? This I actually think is the good, hypothesizing or speculation here. Not that, just
because he came out and openly helped Savage. So
right. Anybody that comes out has to be NWO, no matter if it definitely looks like it. So that was nice. Savage hits the big elbow to end this segment. So again, I went a half star for the match. It's nothing, but a really fun segment overall.
Yeah, I agree. Quarter star. The in-ring didn't really matter. It's really more about everything that happened with the match itself. So I agree. I like the kind of confusion at the end with Hennig coming out and helping Savage. You wonder, is he NWO? Is he not? You're also getting Savage's insanity going a little bit further too, as Page again gets one over on him until Hennig comes out. So, and then you open up the mystery. So we know Hennig turned, and here we go. Penta's with us. I know, Chad.
Right. I'm asking there.
Oh, that was short. You don't have the guts to go the whole way with it, huh?
Well, you gonna wear that the whole thing?
No, I'm dying.
Okay, thank you.
The octagon one would be a little bit easier.
So Gene's in the aisle, talks to Hennig here. Gene says, "I've known you since you were a pre-teenager, young man. What is going on?" Hennig says it's time to cut through the crowd. Page has nothing in common with him. 5 years ago, DDP would come to his ringside and ask for his autograph. He calls Page the biggest mark in the biz.
Which is funny because it's kind of really his rep, right? Is that he's kind of a mark for himself.
Yeah. He says he's got no work ethic. It wouldn't last 30 seconds with Hennig. And the rumor in the locker room is that he can't last 30 seconds with that hose bag he calls his old lady. So that was a great line.
Gene's not happy though. That kind of talk will not be tolerated here.
Now Flair struts out. He hugs Hennig. He tells Hennig he can watch him wrestle later, and then they can party all night long at Pleasure Island. So they're heading to Disney after this, apparently, and going to Pleasure Island. And Gene basically calls this another overture. So this again follows kind of like the Jarrett courting.
Well, this is kind of the opposite though, because that was more like kind of like Flair was like accepting of him, but that was more Jarrett kind of making a bid to be Horseman.
Yeah.
This is more like Flair is putting the pressure on Hennig to get him in.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought this was, as much as I crapped on him in Bash at the Beach, I think this was Hennig's best night of his 3 appearances so far in this WCW run.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
He actually brought it a little bit, and his line was, I mean, Meltzer went on this huge rant about him calling Page a mark, which that was inside baseball, but I didn't think that was like too over the pale, and then everything else was on screen. Yeah. Like we know him and Kimberly are married, so I don't know why Meltzer was so bent out of shape over that, but he definitely devoted like a nice 3-sentence rant in the Observer about how inside that was and breaking kayfabe in the business. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it was good.
We get our hour 2 pyro now, and that leads us right into Stagger Lee
in Jacksonville to hype this next week's special Tuesday edition of Monday Nitro. Tickets are still on sale. Lee says Jacksonville's the birthplace of, and I looked this up, I couldn't find anything about it, but Rear Admiral Barrett, military guy, I guess.
Got some bad news.
Barrett. Right? He just got fired. And Pat Boone, who rejected a heavy metal song called Whipping the Weasel. Bobby says the flip side is Whipping the Weirdo. And he goes, I just don't like him, which is funny. Do we have any updates on why Nitro's on a Tuesday next week?
No, I meant to look that up. I had forgotten about that. But yeah, I thought they did a good job at least telling us like that it's on Tuesday. I wrote a note I know coming up where Bobby at one point says to do laundry all next Monday in the basement, which is pretty humorous. But we'll have that for our next show. Why they got bumped for Monday? I don't know because playoffs are done and
all right. It's not an Olympic year or anything.
No, I don't know what was going on. Maybe Robin Hood was coming,
or it could have been something like, was there like one of those like cable conventions or something? Maybe WCW was like busy or some shit for the weekend. Who knows?
Let me just do a real quick.
While you do that, I can hit this next segment. While you look
okay.
That up. The NWO music hits. Tony confirms that Tuesday Nitro for next week. Tanay says make sure you order the Bash of the Beach replay, so you can get. This is a little bit much. Order the replay tomorrow, and then you can get used to WCW on a Tuesday for next week. So there you go. The whole crew except Hogan is out. They're surrounding Nash, who's in a wheelchair. They park on the ramp as Bischoff says he's one of the most powerful people on the planet, has been injured. And the worst thing is there are people accusing him of being the Sting imposter. Bischoff asked Nash, was Sting And Nash denies it and says he would never stoop so low as to attack another combatant from behind. Bischoff says Nash has an announcement, and some of the boys help him stand and says Konnan showed the Wolfpac, the NWO, and the world what he would do for the Razza. Konnan shows his NWO shirt under his button down. Nash says he's proven to all of them he has what it takes to be part of the NWO and officially welcomes them aboard. Hall says, when you're NWO, you're for life. And Nash says, even though I look like Larry Flint, I'm just too sweet, which is a funny line.
Yeah. I like this segment. I thought it was good, all them clowning together. Nash especially, he has good comedic timing. And as we mentioned, like the NWO has been pretty segmented. So this, I think, more than usual saw them all together. I mean, this was pretty much everybody except Hogan who wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't think of anybody else that was not part of the gang here. But yeah, K-Dog is now a member of the NWO.
They kind of needed another like fringe upper mid card guy.
Yeah, I mean, we had like the
soldier guy,
Bubba stuff, and yeah, I think this was good to.
He's like Conan's like on the 6th level. They needed another guy in there.
Yeah,
that can maybe job but get wins, and
we really hadn't had anybody join in a while either. Like,
who's the last? I don't even know.
Wow.
Norton, probably. Yeah. I guess maybe with Vicious and Delicious. He had already been in, right?
Well, I guess Muda.
Yeah, Muda,
comes out.
But even that's been like a month at least, right?
Yeah, it's been a while. So,
Ish asked, "Do we think they talked about a bad pay-per-view?" I'm guessing he means Hennig. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I don't think they
cared enough.
No, I mean, I don't think they were like really doing the stars. Like, hey, we. I mean, maybe he had a little pride. I don't know. I think objectively,
I think he just wasn't ready. I just think he was out of shape.
Night.
Yeah, I think he's just out of shape. I think we'll see him work his way into shape quickly. Is my guess.
Okay. I like that Bobby said he's not sure if that was Nash's Sting last night. That him and Tony get this big argument. Tony basically says, "Quit lying for them." So
and he says he's studied all the footage. Tony says,
"Yeah, they were pretty feisty together." Harlem Heat come in, and then Hall and Nash and Six roll out. Nash is still in the wheelchair, of course, and we learned that Six is subbing in for Nash here. Tenay gives us a quick update on Rey Mysterio, lets us know he's got a broken leg because of K-Dog, and he's going to be sidelined for about 2 months. Tony lets us know that actually, as he reviewed the footage last night, he could tell it was a mask and not face paint on the fake Sting. So again, like I said, a lot of doubling down that, why they were so, determined the last night that was Sting, and now he joined the NWO. They really corrected that quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
Six starts out with Booker, Stevie, and Hall come in, and Hall throws his toothpick at Stevie, which pisses Stevie off. He beats down Hall in the corner, which I thought was really good, like some fire you don't normally see from Stevie Ray. So that was enjoyable. Tenay says, Harlem Heat doesn't really have to worry about a DQ because they're not really in line for a title shot coming up because the Steiners have the next title shot at Road Wild, so they can kind of let it all hang out. Bulldog by Hall from the second rope, but Stevie comes back with a clothesline and then taunts Six on the apron, gives him the old crotch chop there. Hall gets worked over some more on the outside. Stevie's barking at the camera to take a look at Hall as he's in a chin lock. Look at this sucker, he says. Back suplex by Hall gives him a little bit of a breather, but Booker rushes in and takes off Six from the apron. So I thought this was an interesting work match because in some ways, like, Hall's almost worked like face and peril.
Yeah.
Just in the structure, but
because Harlem Heat still technically heels, but like you would think they'd be the faces in a match with the NWO, but they're the kind of structure where they're still the heels. Yeah,
they really dominate a lot of this match. But I like that too because like it showed that they like didn't need necessarily Sister Sherry, and they still are aggressive and kind of new glow up for them as a tag team. Booger lands his scissor kick. Hall gets saved by the ropes. Nash kind of gets up a little bit. He's trying to still sort of sell his injury, but looks a little suspect there, which is funny. Then Hall fires back, puts Booker on the top rope. Booker gets a crossbody. Six breaks up the pin. He gets caught by Stevie and slammed down, and then Nash rushes up the apron about as quick as he can move and hammers Booker, leading right into an outsider's edge. Bobby calls it a miracle, which was funny on commentary. I enjoyed this match. This is a match that I don't know, like I read Scott Keith's review of this show and he gives this match like a star. Like I don't know what I can't understand that. I thought that they cut a good pace, it told a good story, and then you had the Wolfpac shenanigans, which were a lot of fun. So I went 3 stars on this. I thought it was a good match for sure.
It was really fun. I like the flow. No real long heat segment. Some bombs back and forth with heavy hitters. Nash at ringside was great. A good finish. The NWO again, always a step ahead right now. I thought Harlem Heat showed well though. They stuck in some big spots, and it felt like they really delivered in a big position that they were put in. So I went 3 1/4. I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah. Our last Nitro Girl segment of the night, they're wearing some jean shorts and short shirts and dance a little bit. Tony asks Bobby if he enjoyed that. Bobby says Tenay was standing on his chair and cheering, which was embarrassing. Now we get to a match I was dreading going in, and it lived up to my low expectations. Chono and Muda, as we talked about, were pretty much going to be dogging it in the U.S. at this time, and they're facing off against Public Enemy, a team really kind of scuttling right now, just scuffling.
Yeah, they lost.
We've talked about
it. They would have been, I think, better suited in the WWF right now, big time.
Yeah. So Vincent's out with Chono and Muda. They attack Public Enemy on the floor. This is just a very disjointed match. A lot of starts and stops. It actually reminds me of a match that was probably pretty close to going on Raw at the same time, and Neidhart and Shamrock. These are 2 kind of weird matches on both shows tonight that get thrown into hour 2 of their respective shows that were a little perplexing. Muda comes in, hits the handspring elbow and the bulldog. Vince is on the apron for like no reason whatsoever and then drops down. I don't know if he missed his cue or what happened there, but that just looked awful. Rocco Rock gets the quote-unquote hot tag, but the crowd's completely dead for this, and we've talked about the crowd's been up for everything else the whole night, so that's a pretty big indictment on the combatants of this match. Muda finally missed Johnny Grunge. Bobby says, "What's that smell?" So saying that the mist smells, I don't I don't know. Do we know mist smells? This was a new one for Bobby that the chloroform.
It's like the chloroform,
I don't know. Mafia kick ends it. So I wrote here, this is my funny joke of the night, that the smell that Bobby's smelling is the shit this match was. I went 1.25 stars here.
Yeah, 1.75 stars for me. It's messy. Tenay does tell us about new seats opened if they've designed for the cameras for Nitro in Jacksonville, Charleston, Auburn Hills, and Denver, as well as a live show in Philadelphia. So tickets now available. Yeah, this was sloppy. This was choppy. The crowd completely checked out for the first time. They've been red hot the entire night, and they were out on this. Fine showcase of the NWO crew. The Enemy just roll with the tides week to week. Not doing much. Like we said, they'd be better in the WWF tag division, who needs tag teams right now. Even back in ECW, they could have still been like, we're in the middle right now of the really in the heat, the top end of the WWF ECW feud. Like they could have been a big part of that if they would have came back maybe. So, but again, I'm never going to begrudge them taking the money. So 1.75 stars for me.
Yeah. Tony is talking about that's 2 big wins in a row for the NWO. Mm-hmm. Giants escorted for the building. So this could be, this is shaping up to be the NWO's night. We get the shield for the Rodman NWO shirt, which I enjoy as well.
$20, $5.95 shipping from your home in Birmingham.
I was going to say they changed it. No more Warwick. So that was sad.
It's like Hasbro's leaving Rhode Island. Just found out. Big losses.
Are they really?
Yeah, they go to Boston.
Okay. Now we get our main event match here. It's Jeff Jarrett versus Ric Flair. Pretty interesting match, I thought, here. Deborah leads out Jarrett as Tony talks about that shocking development from the night before. Crowd's hot for this. Jarrett gets a back body drop and struts in front of Flair. Flair responds with some big chops. Yep. Jarrett comes back with a lariat and a drop kick, sending Flair to the outside. I thought they cut a good pace here. This is a match that only goes about 6 minutes, but they're really cruising here. Flair gets into the corner, does the Flair flip, he scales the top rope, gets caught with a drop kick on the way down. Jarrett tells the camera to look at who the teacher is now. Jarrett hits a superplex. He goes for the figure four, but Flair's able to thwart that off. Flair gets a small package for a 2 count. He makes his comeback. Jarrett pulls down the strap. So we go full Memphis Jerry Lawler style here where the strap comes down. Flair comes back with some chops and a low blow. And then they do this really long shot camera angle, which I thought was great in the way it did it. Really cool production piece where they go down to Deborah. So the camera's right in front of Deborah, and she's still down on the floor of the apron. And she cuts this huge promo, long form on Mongo, saying she's tired of living in Mongo's shadow. She calls him a has-been. She will take her man straight to the top. So really running him down. And, you know, with what was probably legitimately going on, it's a little bit uncomfortable to hear. Yeah. But, I mean, she's really running him down there. And then what I liked about this camera angle, though, is you could see the wrestling action in the background. So you got like all these things going on. Like she's cutting this promo, the announcers lay out, and Tony mentions like they're having some, you know, family dispute. So I don't want to, you know, intrude on that. So we'll let them say their piece. And then we get to see the basically the finish of this match happening. And it's just really well done. Looks unique. Still looks like groundbreaking. Like it was actually very like cinematography, you know, photographic in the way it was shot. So really well done. Mongo comes out. He says, "You stabbed me in the back for that," and is yelling at Deborah. And then Flair locks in the figure four, and Mongo and Benoit comes out too, and they get in the ring and just basically beat up Jarrett to show Horseman domination. Didn't really care about the win, so to speak. They just wanted to get one over on Jeff Jarrett. So as I mentioned, really enjoyed the match. Cut a good pace. Flair's on a little bit of a roll here, I think, in ring between this and the Piper match the night before. Very solid main event. Went 3 stars.
Marty Slee says Boston's better than Rhode Island. I say never meet your heroes. Yeah, this is really fun again tonight. The crowd loved it. Flair was in his bag. Jarrett was right with him. Big slugfest, kind of like a Fight Club vibe to it, the way they were going around it. And the finish was well done and chaotic. It was good to see the Horsemen finally kick the shit out of Jarrett as well and taking a stand on behalf of Mongo. Yeah. So I went 3 1/4 on this one. It was a fun main event.
So we end the show. You know, we've ended a lot of these shows with a heel promo, usually Hogan, to wrap us up. I like that they kind of tilt that, and now we end the show with a babyface promo as Gene brings out Lex Luger. Luger says it was a great feeling last night. He's had low points between being spray painted and slapped on live TV, but last night will go down as one of his finest moments. Lex actually looks like he's going to get a little choked up and emotional talking about this. I don't know. Seemed legit to me. Gene brings up him racking everyone. Luger says Giant's a great tag partner. He loved racking Macho and Hogan, but he has to admit it was a little extra sweet to rack Hot Rod Dennis Rodman. He has a little message for Dennis, maybe stick to basketball, but this was his welcome to WCW. Gene then changes the tune to Road Wild. He brings up the 4 corners match that Luger won like 4 months ago. He says he can think of no better time than now to challenge Hogan for that. And Lex issues the challenge for Sturgis. He says the total package has had him looking at the lights because he's been in the rack before. So he'll do that again. So we get our big kind of main event for the next pay-per-view right away as Luger issues the challenge there. The NWO music fires up. All the NWO come out. They surround the ring. And then a Sting comes out with a pretty obvious fake wig and a mask on. But Tony lets us know that, you know, he's too short to be Kevin Nash. he gets in the ring and then takes off his wig and mask to reveal that it's actually the real Sting and a swerve as we fade to black. So I thought a pretty fun ending segment here. They kind of have been leading. This could have been the NWO's nights, and that gets kind of tilted on its head right at the very end with Sting coming out to help Luger, and Luger issues the big challenge to Hogan coming up.
Yeah, and a fun nod with him with the fake wig and mask. It was funny.
Yep.
This is good. We do get a shank of the evening from Gene, so that was been a while since we had that. Luger's on a roll, and the excitement's pretty hot for Luger Hogan.
Yeah.
And the more I've really thought about it, and we'll track it to see if it holds this way, you really, if you look at it right now on July 14th, 97, a path forward where Luger beats Hogan for the title and then Sting beats him to end Hollywood in the NWO at Starrcade feels like a nice path. Luger really deserves a world title in the moment. Sting doesn't need to win the world title to do his job, which is eradicate the NWO. So you could have had Luger win the belt, have Hogan chase it for a bit, and then Sting returns, and at Starrcade, it's Sting versus Hogan for the NWO, or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can even have Hall and Nash and turn on Hogan and, say, we're going to keep our shit going without you, man. Like, you lost, you're out. So, but I get it. Again, it's hard to say kill the gravy train while it's running hot. I get it all the time, but it's like, that this feels like a natural progression as to where we're headed, where Luger and Sting and the two WCW guys died through. Let each of them get something. Luger gets his title and Sting gets the glory of ending the NWO, because that's all he's really cared about.
Yeah. There's definitely a path, I think, for that. And you could even have done like Hogan versus Piper, where, Hogan gets the one up on Piper.
Right.
I don't know how many times on this show I'm going to mention Piper should have retired, but that'd have been nice if he could have, finally extinguished Piper. And then it's like, well, who can, he's not the champion, but he's still his dominant force. He's, got rid of Piper, who's left, and then that's Sting. And I really think you could have built Starrcade to have two huge matches. And, in retrospect with what happens, that looms Bret Hart on the horizon, where that still, I don't know, like, we'll have to track Luger, because again, like, it's feels like such a sudden drop off, and we'll see if that holds true with what my memory thinks when Hogan beats him at Road Wild. But I mean, as of right now, like, that seems like if they could have just, held the line, you could have had, maybe not Starrcade because of the non-compete, but have that on the back burner. You have Sting.
You could do like Luger Savage at Starrcade too. Like,
you could do Luger Savage. You could even do Luger Page, face versus face. Like, there's avenues for sure. Luger Giant, face versus face, because you got the other heel dynamic here. They do Luger Savage. It's sold out.
But by that point,
it's so anticlimactic by that point. It's very sad. It's actually the main event of that show, which is depressing. I mean, I think there's a lot of avenues to speak, but right now, I mean, Luger's certainly hot, and he looks like he belongs. Like, there's no doubt, Luger's over, and he belongs. Like, with everything that's hot going on Raw and Nitro, like, Luger is getting a good reaction. Like, he's red hot. Deserves to be in this. So,
All right. Match of the night for me, I went the Harlem Heat's Hall 6 match.
I actually went. I had a few matches rated the same, so I went Eddie versus Chavo.
Moment, I went that Horseman beat down on Jarrett. It felt very earned. Like, it felt like he deserved getting the shit kicked out of him, and I like the Horseman kind of standing up for Mongo. So I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is a show with a lot of cool moments. None I think are like all timers, but it's a show full of, like, I could see 4 or 5 things being your moment of the night. I went with Giant choke slamming everybody, because we hadn't seen him look like that out of control in a while, and the crowd was just molten for it. So,
all right, MVP, I went Wolfpac. I thought they were great tonight, all of them.
Yeah, I agree. They had a couple segments. Tag match was well done, including Nash on the apron. So a good effort from them carrying the load with Hogan not there.
I don't have any thing for shots fired, but you said Bobby made that comment about doing laundry or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know if that was. He just basically
Yeah,
said,
it kind of is.
the other show. Yeah, don't watch the other show. Yeah.
Debuts, we had Spice, Shay, AC Jazz, Fire, and Teo for the Nitro Girls. I think that was it, though.
Yeah.
Road Report, of course, is the one and only Jacksonville. And then Final Grade, I went 8 out of 10. This was a great episode of Nitro.
Yeah.
The only thing we didn't have was like that blowaway match or angle, but everything worked. And the crowd, they were feeding off the crowd heat. The in-ring was really, really good all night. There was nothing bad. Every segment had purpose and meaning. It was a nice follow-up where they started some new stuff off the pay-per-view. They already set some stuff up for Road Wild. I thought it was really well executed overall.
Yeah, I think this is one of those Nitros that could slip through the cracks because it's nothing like monumental or like when you think about the history of the Wrestling War Zone. But it's a great show with a few good matches that were all unique and a lot of fun segments overall. Really, only Muda and Chono versus Public Enemy was the only thing I didn't like. And
that was quick.
Pretty quick. So, 8 out of 10 for me, too. Great episode.
All right, let's head over to Raw. We get a quick recap video of the Hart Foundation's night from last week. We then get our opening animation. We come to a rowdy crowd. Jim Ross welcomes us in. We're in San Antonio, and the Hart Foundation music fires up. The whole gang is here to booze. USA chants. They march to the ring. Vince is there waiting for them and welcomes them in. Says, this is a very different greeting than you got last week. Brett says, well, Alberta is rat-free, and you can't say that about San Antonio, which is filled with rats, and most are hiding in the back because the Hart Foundation is a force that will be reckoned with. Brett said his contract states if he loses the WWF title match at the SummerSlam, he'll never wrestle on U.S. soil again. Vince corrects him and says the language says if you do not win the title, that is the case. So it's not just he loses. It sounds like they're trying to plant seeds for if he gets disqualified or whatever, or even wins by DQ. Sowing seeds for an angle that's to come. Brett's fine with it because Canadians pride themselves on doing their best and they keep promises. And after the SummerSlam, Undertaker will be free falling like the Dead Star as he becomes a 5-time champion. Owen says he doesn't care if it's Austin or somebody else. The bottom line is he and the British Bulldog will regain their tag team titles tonight. And at SummerSlam, Austin better pucker up and get his bliss text because he'll kiss Owen's ass. Vince cuts him off, of course, and says, Gorilla Monsoon has been fair with these stipulations and the contracts. British Bulldog calls out Shamrock and says if he loses at SummerSlam, he'll eat a can of dog food after the match. Then Brian Pillman steps in, says he knows Dusty Rhodes is watching and loves him, but not really. He just likes his style. Years of neglect and abuse of a son while he fed his massive ego and turned his son into the most celebrated drag queen of the century. Pillman says Dustin's daddy broke his heart, but at SummerSlam, he'll rip it out of his chest. And if he loses, the next night on Raw, he will wrestle in one of Marlena's dresses. And if he does do that, it won't be the only thing of hers that he will get into. Pillman's unhinged. Vince says that only leaves the Anvil on guard. And Anvil says if any of the Hearts lose, he will shave his goatee off on Raw. Vince says they are confident, and Brett says this is a commitment. And in Canada, the women are prettier, the men are tougher, the sports are tougher, the beer tastes better, and it'll be a Canadian summer. As he finishes that, the glass breaks. We get a big pop. Out comes Stone Cold Steve Austin onto the stage. He stands tall. His music keeps playing, though, because out comes Ken Shamrock, dressed all in black, and he stands next to Austin. Then Austin kind of turns around a little bit, and out comes the debuting Patriot. Vince says that Patriot is Del Wilkes, an international star who's finally made his way to the WWF. They then turn around and look, and out comes Psycho Sid to a big pop. He's all in black. And then finally is Shawn Michaels to a really loud hometown pop. And all five stand there as Vince wonders who will be Austin's partner tonight. I've always loved this moment. I always thought it was really well done. I remember at the time being super excited, like Sid's back, Patriot's here. Shamrock looks like a badass. I felt like the timing was a little weird. They were like 2 weeks after the Big Ten Man, and we have a new team of five here. It felt like maybe this was the bones of what that team could have been at Canadian Stampede. And you wonder kind of what they were building toward in this moment. I don't think we see Sid again. I think this is it pretty much for him. So he's gone. Patriot will be around for a little while. And, Shawn, obviously, we know things kind of go in a different direction with him. But for this moment, it was cool that we kind of had this alignment of this team. And now you have these four guys. Any of them could be Austin's teammate tonight, which is good teasing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, did Sid immediately have a softball game after this? Because, we'll talk about it with this show, but They very quickly, like a lot of these people say, no, it's not me. Like immediately after this, we just never see Sid again. Like he vanishes and
He
Austin
must have
gets
still been
beat
pretty
up.
hurt. Like I'm guessing he was.
I mean, say something. It'd been nice again to say like he was beat up in the back or anything. Because
Right.
he comes out here and then it's just gone.
I
But
remember
yeah, I mean,
being like, where the fuck did he go?
yeah, we talked about how like they're definitely starting the shows now with the long form promo, but this had a lot, I think, of groundwork that needed to be done, and they did a good job hitting the points they wanted to, but moving it along. So the stipulations, I think, on the SummerSlam side are all pretty unique and interesting, except I talked about my qualms with the Owen one that that obviously wasn't going to happen. Almost in real life actually had to happen. That's probably the one that sadly was closest to happening. What happened, and then we'll get to the Anvil. But overall, they it's always funny. Like the four of them are talking about their match and their opponent. Then Anvil's just like, well, if any of y'all lose, I'll take my go-to. It's like this poor guy. It's like the odds are, one of them's gonna lose, right? Like,
well, I'm curious if he just refused to do the goatee or they decided not to, because going into this, Owen's losing. I mean, it's pretty obvious Austin's not losing to Owen. So, the other ones are all kind of whatever. But like, are they really going to shave Anvil's goatee after all this time?
Took a stand on that. But
nope, instead he just vanishes for 3 months. But, Sid. I think the next time we see him is in ECW, right? And then WCW. But
jeez, so he's gone for year and a half. So
because when's ECW is 99, right? And then he goes to WCW in 99. So yeah, he must have still been banged up. That's all I can think of. Like he tried, and maybe he was just still injured from that car accident or whatever, and wasn't right. But yeah. All right, we go to the ring for our opener, and it pays off a couple weeks of build as Brian Christopher and Jerry the King Lawler take on Scott Putski and his dad, the Polish Power, Ivan Putski. King heads to the ring with Christopher. The Putskis rumble down. They get a nice little welcome. I thought Ivan still looked pretty good here. He's trimmed down. He's in good shape. He gets the mic and plays to the crowd. He sings his little song in Polish about how much he loves everybody. King and Christopher attack as the song ends. They double up on Scott to keep Ivan at bay. Scott comes back with a punch to Lawler and a powerbomb, tilt-a-whirl backbreaker on Christopher. Ross says the King hasn't told the truth since the 70s. Scott's pouring it on. He ducks a King drop kick that catches Christopher instead. Scott batters him. King trips Scott from the outside. That allows a quick double team and Christopher to take over. They quick tag and double up a little bit, keeping Scott in the soup into a King pile driver. Christopher comes over and stops the cover because he wants to get the win. He goes up top and misses the Tennessee Jam. Scott then fights off Christopher after a double clothesline, and Brian kicks King by accident, and Ivan gets the tag and cleans house. All for a brawl. The crowd is revving up as Ivan hits King with the Polish hammer and gets the win. So this is a fine little nostalgia tag match. I thought they kept it quick. Had some throwback vibes with Lawler in there, with Ivan. The hot tag was good, and the legend cleaning up the scrap. So we'll see if Putski and Christopher roll on with this light heavyweight division and where that's going. But I thought for like a one-off night in San Antonio, it was kind of cool to see Ivan out there. So I went 2 stars.
I went 2 1/4, which I think is greatly they overachieved. I was really dreading coming out because, as I mentioned, I think Ivan was awful in his prime, so I didn't know what
he looked better here than he ever did then.
Well, they did. I thought they worked this very smartly, where he's on the apron, he gets the hot tag, he does his Polish power, punches, and then that's it. Also think Christopher's a better tag worker than singles worker, right. So he's in his element here. Him and King could do their Memphis heel tag shtick, and Putski's replacement level, taking the selling, but looked fine here. I think this is like a weird match where everybody in this match looked better than the entire angle going into it.
Oh yeah.
Just based on like hitting the rolls and playing the high notes. So
we have a little hot crowd. It's like Nitro. Like both shows had pretty good fans with them. Plus you get Putski singing more than you ever know. We get some clips from last week where Mankind helped Steve Austin against Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Austin said, we'll never be partners. And then he stunned Mankind, who then vowed that he, Austin, and the WWF would never be the same. Vince flat out says Mankind will not be Steve Austin's partner tonight. Mankind joins from backstage, but refuses to answer any questions. We get the Stridex triple action, which brings highlights of Owen Hart taking on Flash Funk on Shotgun. I don't know, Chad, maybe you could throw it on the Patreon as a special review.
Pretty interesting match on paper.
Yeah, probably not bad. And they probably got some time on Shotgun.
Yeah,
Paul Bearer's backstage, pensive, and he says, the hell the Undertaker claims to be living in is nothing compared to his brother, because Undertaker started the fire, killed his parents, and turned Kane into a disfigured creature and stole his innocence. Now Kane is no longer a child, and he awaits a confrontation. He is alive, and Bearer will prove it next week.
Looks like they got about 8 minutes, so probably not bad.
All right. Here we go to the ring, and interesting match, pretty cool on paper, as Taka Michinoku takes on Tajiri Yoshihiro, who of course would later be known as Yoshihiro Tajiri, and just Tajiri. But this is his debut on Raw. Ross hypes up Tajiri as a young star with a big resume in Big Japan. Taka is back this week, heads to the ring. We get clips of his matches with Sasuke, get some change. And I didn't remember Taka being back this soon. Like, I always thought he was gone for a bit, and then they just brought him back in, but it looks like he signed and in now. We get some chain work with a flurry of pin attempts. Tajiri bails out to the floor. Taka meets him with a springboard plancha. Tajiri floats through a suplex, coming back in, tries a German, but Taka rolls through it. Tajiri lands a kick on a charge. It's a hard lariat, plants Taka with a hard sit-out powerbomb and an Oklahoma roll for 2. Tajiri gets a crisp spin heel kick to knock Taka outside. Tajiri meets him with an Asai moonsault, crushes Taka with a drop kick to the gut as he comes off the top. Tajiri pelts Taka with kicks and chops, roundhouse kick. They both trade punches and drop to the mat. Tajiri gets 2 on a bridging German. Taka hits a missile drop kick to the back and finishes Tajiri with the Michinoku driver. This is really fun. It was so different for Raw. To me, this is on par with most of the Lucha stuff we've seen, like Open Nitro at this point. Maybe not some of the 6-mans on pay-per-view, but on Nitro anyway. And this is the light heavyweight division WWF needs to lean into. Like, it's a wide open playing field. Forget some of this other nonsense, like the Fantastics and everything else you got going on. Like, bring these dudes in. Bring in the Michinoku Pro guys. Bring in Tajiri, grab whoever you can that's lingering in Mexico and like let them open the throttle a little bit. And that's your lightweight division. We'll see how it trends. But for now, this has been some of the better stuff we've seen. I went 3 stars.
Yeah, it's another quick match like Chavo and Eddie on Nitro, but I enjoyed it as well. I went 3 stars too. Crowd, I thought, again, could be a little bit better. Didn't react too well to it, besides like Taka's big springboard, which looks great. I thought they hit all the moves, hit their marks, looked good. It's an interesting dynamic because you have Taka from Michinoku Pro and Tajiri from Big Japan. I don't think these 2 companies were really interacting much with each other around this time. So in some ways, it's an interesting interpromotional one-off type match in that regard. But yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's pretty clear that they should have went behind either this or taken the pieces from the struggling Joshi side of things in Japan and went that direction as well, just and really built it up. But I mean, maybe the fans didn't want it. I mean, I do think that's a legitimate reason where you're not really seeing it get over. And maybe like they can just by attrition if they keep putting these guys out.
They keep putting up there. You get to learn who they are and do different stuff. I think so.
Yeah, it's just it is kind of continually. I mean, we talked about it. Like, I didn't think the Sasuke Taka stuff held up, but it's still a lot better and more spectacular in ring than a lot that you were seeing, and different enough that I would have thought it would have gotten a better reaction from the live crowd.
All right, Ken Shamrock is backstage. He tells Vince, I'm not Steve Austin's partner. He was out there in support of the Hearts, and he'll knuckle up with the Anvil tonight. So Big Ken is out as the tag partner. And we get a clip of Los. Oh, God.
Well, so Shamrock, it's interesting, too. I did a little deep dive on him cage match-wise. And now, we talked about, like, him showing up on Raw and wrestling on Raw was seen as like a special attraction up to this point. Now he's on the road. He's a full member. Like, he's doing house shows and all that. So he in the past month, he's went from kind of like special attraction guy that had, maybe 100 matches in his life up to that point to I've had 20 matches in the last month because I'm on the road and I'm working TV every week and etc. So shift for that in that regard.
Yeah, it's cool to see him this part of the roster now. We had a clip of Los Boricuas driving up to the building with some chicks and music blaring in a lowrider earlier today. Vince McMahon plugs the newest magazine with an article on Brian Pillman's past and possible hidden agenda within the heart.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite magazine covers. I remembered it too. What I liked about this one is it has it's titled Heart and Soul, and it has Brett and Undertaker on the cover.
Yep.
And the cool thing about that is like the magazines were always lacking. It'd be like 3 months later and you'd hear about the pay-per-view or whatever, see a recount. So for that to happen, where they had Brett and Undertaker in a match that hadn't taken place yet, but you were able to read about it in the magazine, it was very different.
All right. We head to the ring for some tag team action as the Headbangers are here to take on Miguel and Jose of the Boricuas. Headbangers bang out. They get a nice little reaction. We get an inset promo from them about the Boricuas. We get some Cheech and Chong jokes. Boricuas roll out next. We get a clip from last week where the DOA dropped Jesus across the Titan Hog. JR hypes up a big live show in Worcester on Friday as Thrasher and Jose get going. Headbangers quick tag a bit and control Jose with a nonstop attack. Boricuas use some chicanery to take over as Miguel comes in and batters Mosh. Jose tags in and gets a nice drop kick for 2. And Ross talks about Jose's father, which gets Vince excited about Jose Estrada. Mosh catches Jose coming in, uses his legs to sling him into the middle buckle. Thrasher gets a tag. He cuts through Miguel, all for a brawl. Mosh gets dumped to the floor. Thrasher fights him off. Both Los Boricuas, but Miguel covers a powerbomb and twists into a victory roll for the win. The Boricuas swarm and beat down the Headbangers until DOA rumble out and get a big pop for the save. Not much cooking as a match, just kind of standard basic work. Boricuas get the win, and we're kind of building toward this gang war. And you're going to assume at this point we're going to get some sort of DOA Boricuas at SummerSlam. We don't get it announced just yet, but it seems like we're headed that way.
What'd you go on the match?
Star and 3/4.
Okay, I went 2 stars. It was all right. I mean, to me, Perez is actually the best worker of the Boricuas in the ring, including Savio. So I've always liked him a decent amount. Headbangers still are a bit weird, both I think in the moment and in retrospect. Like in retrospect, I don't think they hold up well at all. Like the Cheech and Chong stuff was annoying, watching that, these idiots, stoners or whatever. In ring, it still feels like they're kind of trying to find their lane. Like, are they baby faces? Are they,
yeah, still a little off.
Exactly where they land, but overall the match was solid. Again, not much heat, but was fine. And gotta say again, another pretty big pop when DOA come out, make the save with their bikes. So if nothing else, like this was a pretty spirited brawl between them and the Boricuas, and they have good heat. So
Let's start calling you Kevin Kelly with how much you love the gang war so far. It's exciting.
No, definitely don't love it, but I think you could just look at the reaction Crush has got with anything since his like Kona Crush days compared to, I guess, him hopping on a chopper and driving around ringside, and he's gotten a much better reaction. So
yeah. Patriots backstage tells Vince, I'm not Austin's partner either. He's here to stand by his country and defend the USA against the Hart Foundation.
Yeah, I know I'm not one to talk, but Patriot's accent always throws me off every time he talks.
Mr. McMahon.
Yeah,
he's got a little Jake Williams mixed in.
Got a little twang, yeah, for
sure. Bit. Mr. McMahon. Yeah, I was excited at the time to see him. Like, Patriot was an interesting guy. Like, you saw him in WCW for a bit when he was with Bagwell, like, 93 or whatever. As someone who grew up watching Global, like, he was on Global a lot. You had Dark Patriot and Patriot. Yeah. And then he was all over the aftermags. Like, he was always listed in the top 10s, and you'd see articles about him in Japan. So, like, I remember when he showed up, it was like a pretty cool thing. I was like, oh, shit, the Patriot's, like, here. It seemed like a nice addition because, again, they're building the show and they're building stuff better, but they are lacking upper mid-carders, especially on the face side. Like, the Hart Foundation's kind of run rampant. And on the face side, you have Austin, Undertaker, Shawn's in and out. We're building Shamrock. Like, Goldust is kind of whatever. Like, we don't really have a lot of that those guys who could be in that upper mid card mix. Sid's out. So like a guy like Patriot, there's like a hole for him to slide into as like an IC and up level guy if they book him right.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting hire. It's kind of weird how like WCW just never, I guess, was interested in bringing him back after a short run too.
Yeah,
but he's fine.
well,
I'm
and this is
pretty
it.
indifferent overall to him, but
I think he does his few months here, and then he pretty much retires, or he eventually sells the gimmick to Brandy or whatever. But like, I know he gets hurt like at the end of this run, and then I think he retires pretty much after that.
Yeah, he's kind of an interesting. He's like around for a decent amount of the '90s, but when you think about like how much you watched him, it's not a lot. Like it's like how many Patriot matches in my life have I really watched? Probably not that many.
I've argued with him more on Twitter, I think, than we've had until he blocked me. I believe he blocked me. All right, we get some VHS clips of Austin from the Stone Cold Said So. Then we get highlights from the 97 Rumble, which was, of course, the last time we were here in San Antonio for a big show. Vince is in the ring. He brings out Shawn Michaels to a big pop. Vince asks if he'll be Austin's partner. Shawn says it's no secret that he's not 100%, but the last time him and Austin tagged and won the belts, neither were healthy, so he's good enough to go. But that's up to Austin. He's been sitting in his big new home in the hills, and this, of course, was a nod. Chad vanished. When he gets back, we'll talk about this part. Anyway, he's sitting in his big new home in the hills. He's back. I believe, Chad, this is a nod to, because he says it with a bit of a smirk, and I believe he had just finally signed like his big contract extension, because you had all the talk about him going to WCW and joining the NWO. He kind of was teasing it after the feud with Brett, and Brett had signed the big money deal in November. He wanted to be the biggest paid, and I think he signed it like while he was out during these weeks after the fight or whatever. And that's what this reference is to, is that he's been sitting in his big new home in the hill. So like, I think he's basically, this was meant to be a dig at Brett that he's, big paid now, right?
Yeah, not a surprise that he will take shots at each other. So
it's funny, he gets this huge deal. Him and Brett both get these big deals. Brett's out in a year. He's had a 20-year contract. And Shawn, I think it was like a 5 or 6 year deal, and he doesn't even last a year before he goes down. So it's like kind of crazy. They sign these guys thinking like they're probably their next half a decade at least.
Right.
And neither make it out of the year. So anyway, he's in the big new house. He noticed his buddy Bret Hart tell everyone if he didn't win the world title, he would never wrestle in the US again. And Shawn's been waiting a long time to see Bret's ass out of the USA. And he's currently not scheduled to be at SummerSlam, which is not my decision. It's someone else's. And he kind of gives a look to Vince, who does his, sweetheart chuckle to Shawn. And he says, I'm going to appeal to the boss man, get on my knees in my hometown. And Vince, please allow Shawn Michaels, the dirty, rotten employee that I am, to just be part of SummerSlam. I'll set up the ring. I'll sell merchandise or tickets. I'll even shine your shoes for a chance to be at SummerSlam to watch Undertaker bury Bret Hart and run him out of the United States. Shawn dances and wants to strip, but Vince stops him. So quick promo. We're kind of reestablished. Shawn's got his contract. He's back full time. He's going to be at SummerSlam. And we'll see this play out more in the next few weeks. But this really lifts the curtain of Vince as owner now. Like, he's blatantly fucking saying, you're in charge. Like, we're no longer hiding it, really. And it gets even more blown off in the next few weeks. So, again, we're really keeping things tight. We're getting a lot done for SummerSlam these last couple episodes. What do you think of Shawn's big return moment?
So a couple things. One, again, Shawn says he's not the partner tonight. So they really run through that, which I think was a shot at WCW and how they drew out who was Paige's mystery partner. They run through all the candidates here tonight very quickly, saying they're not. When Shawn came out, I think he did get he got a good reaction. But again, it definitely paled to what Bret got in Canada.
Right.
Which I think is an interesting contrast to, both hometown stars. Who got the bigger reaction was obviously Bret. And Shawn and Vince just together, incredibly annoying. So, this laid the groundwork for my favorite Shawn run of his career, which I think this may be the last, real happy-go-lucky this type of babyface promo we see from him. Hopefully, I hope so, because this was annoying. I mean, I just think it would be as annoying if Vince wasn't in the ring, just like enamored with him, like it's just so like.
I think this is the end of
so
Schmaltz
bad.
and Sean. I'm pretty sure next week starts the twist tour, because I think next week is the ask to be the ref and all that. Like, so I think and that's the one with the flags. I think it's either that or the week after. Anyway, we're headed toward him ramping it up.
It felt that way. So this is kind of like a send off of this era of Sean, which started, about 2 years ago. Really, when Sid powerbombed him.
Yep.
I mean, it kind of gives some closure, but I think it really bookended a lot of the problems with it, because what he's doing is inserting himself into SummerSlam. Like, all that on the surface is good. Like, that makes sense. It works. It's intriguing on the surface. The way it's presented with this promo with him and Vince gloating over each other, him threatening to strip, which, I mean, who's that? I don't know, like, what that's appealing to besides Vince, and Vince, being all enamored over it. And, no. It's just a weird execution. So
we're overdue for something from Sean that's not this yuck. And it's been an interesting run with him. Like if you think back to the last time we were in San Antonio, it was kind of the last time he was like a normal on-screen character at the Rumble. Yeah. Like, it's been a 7-month odyssey of just bizarre shit with him, between the losing his smile, then being back at Mania, and then the stuff with Brett, the super kick with the knee, and all, out of the wheelchair, and then the fight backstage, the stuff with Austin. It's just been like up and down. And this really, it marks maybe the start of his best run character-wise ever, right? The next, 6 months or so.
Yeah, I think so.
It's fantastic stuff. And in-ring, he's got amazing in-ring stuff. I mean, he'll have great stuff later too. But all right, we get our hour 2 opening animation, and then we head back into the arena. Savio Vega comes down the ramp, and he's yelling, "There's a terrible accident." One of the bikes, and he's panicking. He yanks the cameraman to the back, which I kind of liked. Like, it wasn't just the camera was back there. Like, he came and got the cameraman. Yeah. Vince and Ross reset the show. They talk about a tag team title match. Then we go backstage. Savio pulls the cameraman to the garage, and we see the rest of the Boricuas kind of standing over the DOA's bikes. Savio says there's a terrible accident, and we pan over to one of the bikes being stuck and dragged under the Boricua's lowrider, and Jesus is battering it with a trash can. Savio's rambling and says a line that's been in my head, I think, since 1997. "I have my license, He looks at the camera and says it. The DOA arrive, and we get a big chaotic brawl as a car alarm is ringing in the distance, and the Boricuas take off in the car, and the DOA chase. Get the bikes. So they hop on the bikes and they ride off after the Boricuas. So I'll say it's a good night for the gang wars here tonight in San Antonio. Like, this was pretty good. It felt chaotic. I like the Savio pulling the cameraman back. He's kind of being an asshole, but he's playing it up a little bit. And then DOA, they come looking for a fight after. So I don't know. So far, we're off to an okay start. And like you said, it's light years better than whatever the fuck the Nation had going on.
Right. I think Nation not being involved helps. This is pretty basic, but as a backstage brawl, is pretty spirited. It's nothing that's, set my world on fire, but up to this point, it's pretty inoffensive too. So.
All right, so we get a recap of what we just saw, and then we head to the ring for our next match, and that is Ken Shamrock taking on Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Anvil's out solo. Decent little pop for Shamrock. King is back in the booth. Shamrock starts with some mat work, focuses on the arm. Anvil tries to punch back into it. Shamrock stays a step ahead, keeps talking him down, works the arm. Ken gets tied up with the ref. Anvil decks him as Vince notes we're back to Canada for Raw next week. Again, I don't know if they had booked these and they lucked into it, or they knew they planned ahead a bit, but it's really fun going back and forth between Canada and U.S., Canada and U.S. Like, it's really adding a lot of excitement to the crowds. Anvil chokes and clubs away, goes to a chin lock, peppers away, spikes Shamrock to the mat by his hair, goes back to the chin lock. Ken gets free, rallies with strikes. It's a Rana, hooks a standing rare choke on Anvil, and Anvil taps. Weird finish. Bulldog attacks from behind. Him and Anvil beat down Shamrock, including a spike pile driver, but Patriot makes the save and cleans house. What you would expect is plotting offense. Anvil's completely washed. Quick spurts from Shamrock. It was at least short. And I like the post-match with Patriot coming out, and he's had a good night overall for his big debut. Had the standing with Austin, the quick promo, and now saving Shamrock. So start a quarter for me, mainly for Shamrock's energy, but Anvil's looking a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, star for me, Anvil. Anvil's cooked for sure. And overall, we mentioned like with Shamrock becoming a regular member of the roster. I don't know if this is who we should have been thrown into the wolves with. Just looked a little clunky overall, and really was just another loss for Anvil too. So I mean, you kind of think like I understand that like his positioning to be the lost post of the Hart Foundation, and this is actually something that I thought happened a lot more with NWO that did, because I thought like Vincent gets beat up, right, a decent amount. But I thought like Vincent was in more matches and lost more matches by this point, just as like,
no, he doesn't really wrestle until later. Yeah, he's
no.
Later.
So that I think is becoming a little bit of a problem with Anvil, that it's like, every match he's in, he loses. So
the crazy thing with Anvil though is like this is kind of it. Like he's on, I think maybe a couple more weeks till SummerSlam, and then
probably they lugged into though, right? Because I don't think he was supposed to be.
I don't know. I don't know why he goes away, but I know they didn't want to mess with the the goatee. I don't know what it is, but or he gets hurt.
Either way, I think it's good he goes away because
he's gone to like Survivor Series almost.
The other four are presented so strongly that it really looks like, dude, you're carrying this group down because you're losing every time you get in the ring. So,
and like we said, we're near the peak of the Hearts. Like things about to go sideways sooner than later for them.
Right.
We're at the peak of the 5-man Hart Foundation unit. Like this is it.
Yeah.
Ross plugs the hotline, includes how the WWF alumni feel about the big SummerSlam special tonight, as well as an update on Shawn Michaels. Vince tries to talk to Mankind again and gets silence. We get a clip again from last week of what went down with Austin, Hunter, and Mankind. Vince, Ross, and King talk more about Austin's partners. King thinks he should pick Sid, and that would make them the favorites to win the titles. Ross runs
to break it to you.
Ross runs down the SummerSlam $1 million giveaway rules. We get the vignette for the third clue. We have the headbangers at the Pound Ridge Golf Course, and we get some lightning strikes, and Mosh is taken out, and Wink Collins gives us the clue, life. So the 3 clues so far are the key to a life, and Vince says the final clue will be next week.
Yeah, there's also an extremely derogatory sign right behind the announce booth during this segment that I'm not going to repeat, but certainly lives up that they're not confiscating any signs you want to bring to the arena.
No, and this is Sign Central right now. Like this is we're heating up. Like the next 2 years or so really get crazy, but we're starting to see it here. Like this is you're really seeing a ton of signs now in the crowd.
Yeah. Some very unflattering things spoken about Jerry Lawler from a guy that looks like he has his wife and his 6-month-old kid in the front row right there as he's presenting this line. So there you go.
All right. The Blackjacks hit the ring, followed by a good pop for Legion of Doom. But before the match, the Godwins attack in the aisle. They lay out LOD with chairs. They throw Animal to the steps, and this is a pretty infamous little Raw moment. Hank drops Hawk on the ramp with the slop drop, and Hawk's head gets busted open, the back of his head. And Ross says these teams are going to fight at SummerSlam. The agents make LOD leave, so we don't get the match, which is a win. Good attack and segment. This is pretty well done. Adds another bit of heat to their match, which is, the feud's been pretty good. Like we know that they broke Hank's neck. The Godwins have come back, turned heel. This is a pretty memorable attack with Hawk's back of the head getting split open. So I'm actually looking forward to rewatching this match at SummerSlam.
Yeah. I think this has actually been a sneaky, pretty solid feud with some real life like heat behind it, like with the neck breaking incident. So it's been well presented so far. And
the Godwins, the heels is much better. They're harder hitting.
Oh yeah,
they're way less clowns.
Idiot Phineas was just terrible.
All right, we get another ad for the SummerSlam Flashback Special, which is tonight after Raw. We get the Discovery Zone Rewind, which is Shawn Michaels' promo from earlier. And to the ring we go for Flash Funk taking on Vader. Flash is in the ring dancing. Paul Bearer leads out Vader as Ross talks about live events coming to Indianapolis, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. Vader unloads some strikes. It's a big avalanche in the corner. Flash gets a pair of drop kicks, knocks Vader outside, meets him with a baseball slide and a plancha. Flash throws Vader to the steps, buries some knees. Flash charges, but runs into a body block. Vader gets 2 on a splash. Flash slips out of a powerbomb, gets a spin heel kick. Flash goes up and it's a moonsault for 2, but Vader hits another body block and finishes with a nasty powerbomb. Vader then hits a Vader bomb after the bell. This is a semi-squash, but I thought it had some good energy. I thought Funk made the most of his brief offense, almost steals the win. Vader's been strong in 97, honestly. Like, from the Rumble victory over Taker on, like, he's been pretty enjoyable in almost everything. We're done with the bully shit from 96 that we hated and all that crap. So he's been good since SummerSlam with Sean. Like, since then, he's, I feel like this run has always been maligned, but I don't know, for the last year or so now, he's been kind of in a good spot. And this was a nice resume builder for him. 2.5 stars for me.
Yeah, I went 2 3/4. Just a quick note, between Discovery Zone and Strident promoting SummerSlam, it feels like we could get a little bit better sponsorship, right? Like, I don't know. Those
Stridex is pretty big at the time.
I know, but geez, it's like that the 10-year-olds and the 13-year-olds. Like, I mean, I know, but like, Jesus Christ.
I definitely remember wanting to go to Discovery Zone to get the SummerSlam poster because they had these posters, and being too embarrassed to go into Discovery Zone at age 17 or 16 with me and Flanagan. We'd always walk because the Chinese buffet we went too many times was in the same plaza as Discovery Zone, and we're like, should we go in and see if they had the poster? We're like, it's kind of embarrassing to go in after the poster, so we never did. But it would have been a cool one. It's the Heart and Soul one.
Yeah. I liked Ross dropping 2 Cold Scorpios name here at one point. But yeah, this was like you said, this was a kind of a competitive squash, but it had real good energy, some good bumps, some good action. So for a 5-6 minute, extended squash, I don't think you're gonna get much better than this. I went 2 3/4. Very enjoyable.
Funk's been good too lately. He's a good TV guy for them to have.
Yes.
He's the type of guy we're talking about they kind of need. It's like, they could use him more too. Like, why not? Like, it's the guy that could get over more.
Yeah, mixing him up with some of the, I mean, it's gotten better, but like, like talking about like the Triple H, like long form matches that we saw, like it'd been nice to mix Funk in the mix with that more.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely someone that could, have more of these different matches. You could even put him in the lightweight division too. Like, it'd be pretty good. So, speaking of Flanagan, happy birthday shout out to him. I'm sure he's walking slowly somewhere as we speak. Steve Austin's backstage, talks about the tag partner situation and Sean's comments about not being 100%. And Austin says, I ain't been 100% for a year. He says, Mankind talks about drastic measures, but every day is a drastic measure for me. The bottom line is no way I will walk out of San Antonio without the tag team titles. We get it on VHS ad again for Stone Cold Said So. And then we get to our main event, which when we start is Steve Austin taking on a British Bulldog and Owen Hart. Bulldog and Owen rush to the ring for their tag team title shot, followed by Austin to a big pop. Austin comes out, attacks at the bell, batters both guys on his own. Austin suplexes Owen. Owen rebounds with a spin kick, stomps away. Austin ducks an enziguri, hits a lariat, loads a sharpshooter, but Bulldog makes a save. Bulldog and Owen double team, take control, and then take turns working over Austin, focusing on the leg. Austin gets beaten on and then chucked outside where he eats the steps and gets stun-gunned. Vince says he's getting word that Austin's partner has arrived. We cut backstage, and we kind of get like a drum beat playing, just a and we see a pair of white boots walking. After the break, the challengers are working over Austin. We get some focus on the leg, and he eventually fends off Owen with kicks. Owen comes back with a neck breaker for 2. Austin catches Owen coming off the top, kicks away, and dumps Owen to the floor. He slugs down Bulldog, and then we hear that drum beat again, and Mick Foley appears on the Titantron dressed as the legendary Dude Love. Dude says Austin made it clear he wouldn't team with Mankind, but he never said anything about the hippest cat in the land, Dude Love. Dude says he's on his way to team with Austin and save the day. We get I didn't remember the Dude Love theme already being a thing. I thought there was another version for some reason at first, but it's the Dude song we know. Fires up right away. And I could have swore one of the CDs had some other all Dude songs. I don't know. I'm going to look at it. He comes out to a big pop as Austin just looks confused. Owen attacks from behind and hammers on Austin. Austin pushes free and tags the Dude, who kicks and slugs away. Owen goes to the eyes and tags Bulldog. He clubs on Dude. Dude hooks the mandible claw on Bulldog. Owen hits a missile drop kick to save it. The ref gets tied up with Owen, and Austin sneaks in, stunners Bulldog, and Dude covers for the win. Raw says it's the summer of love as Austin and Dude Love stand tall with the belts. This is Mick Foley's first title in the WWF and first overall in the big companies, right? He didn't win anything in WCW, right?
Tag titles.
Oh, that's right, with Max Payne and Sullivan. Oh no, he didn't win a Payne, just Sullivan, right?
Yep.
So anyway, first title in the WWF. Dude hands Austin the second belt, and the two groupies hit the ring. They swarm Dude. Austin hands the belt back and shakes Dude's hand, and then leaves. And Dude dances as we wrap. So not much of a match, just some brawling, but we get the big debut of Dude Love. I like the ending too, where Foley finally gets his win. He earns Austin's respect, right? Austin's been stunnering him and calling him a freak, but now he respects him. They shake hands and he hands him the title. It pays off the JR interviews, right, where we swell of the building to Foley as a face and payoff of Dude Love being his character that he did as a kid. And it was a cool moment for Foley, a guy who's going to have a career of big moments and life moments in the WWF to come. This kind of felt like the first real one for him, where he gets to pay off his childhood dream and appear as a sex symbol wrestler and win the tag title. So it was a cool moment. I also think it's one of the earlier big Ross calls. Like we have Horowitz wins, but we haven't had a ton really yet. We'll have tons to come, obviously, but like this felt like kind of one of the big ones where he's yelling about the summer of love and all that. So it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 3/4 for me in the match, but to me, this was all about just introducing Dude Love as a character.
Yeah, I went 3 1/4. I like this match. I like it as a structure and I like it as a payoff. I think Austin does a good job on the handicap portion of the match, and I think Owen and Bulldog also put a lot of pressure and do a good job there. I mean, a minor quibble again. Like I guess Brett just disappeared too. Maybe he went with Sid to the bar or something. Like I don't know what happened to these guys, but he's just gone after the opening promo for the entire show. But the execution of Dude getting announced and then the music and I love Austin's facial expressions where he's like so bewildered and then it's just like, well, screw it, we're gonna go with it. And tags him in and. It's a feel-good win. I think it's very territorial and Memphis-y in the way it works because on the surface it sounds hokey, but just kind of works and makes you feel good. So overall, a very, very solid match and a very cool moment that I like. So 3 1/4.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool for Foley. And it paid off a lot of stuff, which is nice. It's always a nice touch that a lot of the legwork they built back in May kind of crests into this moment here. So we'll see what we do with Dude and Mankind, because obviously he's still feuding with Hunter. I don't think we're going to go to Dude Hunter. So I'm guessing we're going to get a little dual Foley action here for a little bit. So pretty cool touch. All right. Match of the night for me, I went Taka and Tajiri.
Main event for me.
Yeah. Moments, obviously, Dude Love debuting.
Yep. I agree.
And then MVP, I give it to Foley.
Yeah, actually with Austin, I can see either one, but I think Austin did very good, and it was dependent on him, like, to sell it. And he didn't just like completely embrace Foley, which was nice, but just the way he turned it. That's one thing I've liked about Austin, is he's definitely being thrusted now as the main guy. One of the main guys is, he's had to carry, like you think about it from a year ago where he was pretty much non-existent, like cut that one promo at King of the Ring and then disappeared. But now he's having to carry like a lot of emotion and a lot of kind of complicated story arcs throughout, and he's doing a very good job in doing that. So it's like Paige. Really on Nitro too. Paige is doing a lot of that stuff a lot of that heavy lifting he hadn't had to do before. Austin is as well, and they're both succeeding tremendously.
Yep. I just want to do it because to me, when you think of this episode, I always say,
I
do think of Austin. I think of two things. When I hear San Antonio Raw from '97, I think the 5 guys on the stage, and then I think Dude Love coming out.
Right.
So, like when I knew this episode was coming, those are the things I thought about. All right, SummerSlam memories ad for Shots Fired. Again, not really, but kind of. Debuts, we had Patriot, Ivan Putski, Tajiri, and Dude Love.
Ivan Putski is a debut.
Dropped angles. It's not really a dropped angle, but I did the Michaels Austin team because we never really went back to it. They reference it, but it's just gone. Like Michaels is back. He should just be his partner. So like they really just dropped it.
They were the tag. Yeah, that is weird. It's also interesting. I didn't mention it, but like Bear's still with Vader, and it's like we talked about. Like he's done with Mankind for sure.
He's done with Vader in a couple weeks too.
Yeah. So when he tried it out, and then one thing I did like about this show, Bear had his quick promo, and we had no Undertaker, no other nonsense. Like threw that out, but it was like 2 minutes on this show, and that was that. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a good Raw. I went 7 out of 10. I think Nitro was really good, but so it's better this week. But I thought Raw had a pretty good week. It was a breezy episode. Like everything really hummed along.
Yeah. I actually talking through. I've dealt just a tad. I originally put 8, but talking it through, I'm going down to 7.5. But I think the breezy episode that you mentioned is what really worked for me. Is this was a one sitting watch for me, and really flew by and has a memorable moment to boot. So really good Raw for me.
All right, let's get to our combos, and then we'll get out of here. So for our best match,
best show's Nitro. So,
well, yeah, we know that, but best match,
I would kind of push for the main event of Raw.
Yeah, that's fine. That was a little bit lower. Like if you add the scores, it's probably not the highest, but I think the nostalgia of it and what it meant for Foley, I think we can do that.
Right.
All right, best moment. We're going Dude's debut.
Yeah.
Okay. Better commentary.
I would still lean Nitro, but it was good.
Raw was pretty good tonight. It helped that King was gone like the whole night, so it was Vince and JR for most of it. That helped a lot.
Yeah, I think once Vince goes away, we'll start seeing them
chill.
He's not awful, but
right,
he's not adding much either.
Star of the night, I'm okay going Wolfpac. I thought they just had more time and did more stuff and were really, really good, and it paid off the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And then ratings winner obviously is Nitro.
Yeah, it's been the same though. I mean, I guess Nitro's up to a 3.5, so 3.4 the week before, so pretty. Maybe even probably seen a slightly disappointing coming off Bash at the Beach, but they've kind of been in that pattern as we talked about, where they had a 3.6 on the May 19th episode. But besides that episode, this 3.5 is the highest it's been since April. So
yeah,
it's minuscule.
Well, coming off Rodman and
coming off Rodman, they may have hoped for a little bit more of a bump, probably, but it is what it is. And Raw again had a little bump too, 2.5 last week, 2.6 this week. So it's the same level of difference, and Raw's holding in that pattern too. Again, 2.6 is their best rating till when Austin and Michaels won the titles. That was a 2.7. So both I'd say both weeks they had these were two pretty good ratings for both shows this week, and the viewers were rewarded with two really good shows, so that's encouraging.
All right, that'll do it for us. We'll be back in a couple weeks with the 7/21 Raw and Nitro. So we got a couple weeks to go until
and we'll do both, even though Nitro's
Tuesday. Yeah, we'll cover both. Nitro's 7/22, but we'll do the Raw and the Nitro together for sure.
Right.
Raw, we got 2 weeks till SummerSlam. Nitro, we're at a bit of a hold now till Road Wild. Next week we're back in Canada, so that'll be fun. We'll see what happens here. Yeah, Marty made it through the whole show. Thank you, Marty. Happy we could keep you company. Also want to thank out Ish and Jenny. I think that was pretty much it tonight in the chat. Yep. So shout out to all three of you. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with that. Check out the free Patreon, Chad's Orlando specials. Like we said, it's live. And check out anything else that we've posted since then. And continue to subscribe, support North-South Connection. We appreciate you. Smell the napalm. We're out. Talk to you in a couple of weeks.